morning to you. Thank you so very much for staying with us here on Global Television. This is how we welcome you to Global Morning. I'm Uyi Agmofwegbe. I'm very sure that Jumai Manson, who is joining Global Morning for the first time this week.
Really?
Well, the first time of the week,
okay.
Of course. Unless you say we have changed the calendar.
No, we haven't. We have not. Yes, the
Good
first time this week. It's great to see you. How are you doing today?
I've been great.
Well done.
All right, well, let's put it on the road, everyone. It's a wonderful Wednesday, midweek, as they say. Gives us the opportunity to appreciate the fact that we're done with the first half of the business week. And then, we have just one more half to get through. And that, again, gives us the opportunity to be able to do an assessment of what we have achieved so far, whether individually or collectively.
Very true.
In that regard, we're hearing now that the Dangote refinery is cutting down its petrol price by, 100 naira, which is very significant, especially if you have seen what has happened the last couple of days. Prices of things, including fares, for example, skyrocketing on account of what they call increase in the price of the pump price, that is, of petrol.
Yes.
I got talking with a commercial driver yesterday. I said, look, there's this magic you guys do. Once you hear, once the word gets to you that there's going to be an increase, there hasn't been a real increase yet. There's going to be an increase.
Speculations.
Right. You shoot your fares right through the roof.
Yes, they do.
All right. But by the time the price of fuel drops, for example, the product is available everywhere, we don't hear a word from you. And then, of course, we don't see a downward review of your fares. As they say in Pidgin, the guy took and go, the guy took and go. You see, the thing is, we appreciate the fact that, we don't have that sort of robust regulatory system to help check all of these things.
No, we don't.
People just wake up arbitrarily and start shifting up prices of stuff, and they give you all of the outrageous reasons in the world for doing that. So what can we do, really? But you also now realize that it is what people call man-do-man situation. We can't blame everything on government. Yes, people will say, well, if government had been able to establish some sort of regulatory systems, it would be much easier to deal with. But what happened to humanity? Yes, we can't bank on that in this day and age where people have become more greedy, people have become more self-centered. There's so much of narcissism in the system right now.
Very true.
We must realize that whatever happens to petrol rubs off on everything else.
Yes, it does.
So the driver who is arbitrarily shooting up his fares, for example, I mean, this is not to pick on drivers, just to say that these are things that
it's centered around them. Means of transportation.
All right, has to also go pay somebody who has gone to the village to buy foodstuff and ingredients and all of that. That person is going to tell you, well, I had to pay X, Y, Z to get these things from the village or from the farm to the city or
people that have something to give. It's for individuals who are high up there, our women who are made. No, it centers around each and every one of us. And that is why empathy comes into play. When you hear high costs of fuel, these drivers are not considerate, really, transporters, with what you hear. Like, for instance, we drive, so we know how much we buy fuel and all of that. Exactly. But the thing is, individuals who have to go into one cab to the other, book a boat, I'm not trying to advertise for boat, please, but the ride and all of that, like you mentioned, the prices just skyrocket, and they'll tell you, madam, it's not my fault too, it's because of the fuel. And sometimes they don't even give you value for money, because sometimes these private cars that you board, they tell you, I cannot turn on my AC because my AC is spoiled, or my AC uses fuel, so you have to pay much more. So, but it starts with you and I. When we make a difference, when we are empathetic towards one another, I think we'll go a long way. Even if the fuel is 1,500, well, speculations are saying it's going to be 2,000 naira, but you can do your own small bit. Even if you're going to increase the cost of your the transport fare, it should be very minimal. It will go a long way for that struggling. Do you know what I do when I leave very early in the mornings, because we have to be here before, and I see school kids, let's say the same, and I see them standing. pick them up.
Right.
That's what I do. Like, individuals should learn that. It's very important. And it's just unfortunate that we do not have like a monitoring team that goes around and checkmates all of these things. It's very important. And most filling stations, believe me, their pump price is not accurate. It might tell you this is it, but it's just unfortunate that you get less than what you bargain for.
Right.
There was a filling station I went into. I just want to mention the name because, you know, I like peace.
You don't want to drag them.
I don't want to drag them. But I told you that, guy, if you try this again, I'm going to drag you guys. Believe me, I'll mention your name on all platforms. I promise you. This guy was trying to distract me. He was like, okay, I want to buy fuel. I said, okay. And he was like, what is happening in this axis, trying to distract me.
To take your eye off the meter.
Off the meter.
So you can track the reading.
And I was like, guy, hello, don't distract me. Let me see what you're doing, then we can talk about that. Please, I have Edo blood. I'm half Edo, so I know this kind of tactics you want to do and all of that. And I was like, no, it's just that. I was like, no, don't do that. It's wrong. But really, we have to be empathetic towards one another. It will go a long way. It's not just the government, like you said. The government cannot do everything. They can only play their part. And that was why I mentioned that sometimes when predecessors do not do the rightful handing over and explaining to you your TOR, it causes a lacuna in that aspect. So we really have a lot to do when it comes to this issue. And I pray as Nigerians, I know everybody is going through one thing or the other, but your little bit of kindness will go a long way for someone too.
You know, speaking of which, I got talking with a motorist yesterday, and the guy said he had been to this particular fuel station. He wanted to buy into a small keg, like a gallon, right? So the guy starts pumping, not a drop of fuel had entered the gallon.
It's true, it happened.
But it had already shown 800 naira plus.
Yes, true.
So he said, look, oh boy, I'm no longer interested. And the guy says, what's the problem? He says, I'm not interested. And the guy is insisting that he's got to buy. He says, I'm not buying. Now, you know, ultimately, he leaves his gallon there and he drives off. Because the guy says, I already started pumping. You can see on the meter he's reading, it's 800 or something. But the guy says, nothing has dropped in the gallon. Am I paying for the figures on your meter?
Exactly.
Or am I paying for the product real time I'm getting in my gallon?
It's just unfortunate.
When you have such a situation, what do you do? But again, it just brings out the resilience and tenacity that the everyday Nigerian has come to show in the face of challenges. We're taking a break now, but we need to remind you that this morning our conversations will focus on issues around the state of the economy, and you can't separate the price of fuel and ancillary products from that, of course, including things like rent and, well, you include food and everything else in between. Cost of living overall is a big conversation on Global Morning today. We also look at issues around GBV, gender-based violence. Are we just talking and creating more talking shows, or are we tackling the issue from the very roots? Plus, what's the place of education in a system, as we have come to see in the world today, particularly as it has to do with the girl-child education? Are we making significant investments in that regard, or again, are we just for want of better words, churning out rhetorics on this particular issue? Well, all of those and more after this break. Please do stay with us. All right, so we're going to be focusing basically today on issues around the state of the economy, because that's just a human angle issue or concern. It is something Jumai, Uyi, and everyone else, including those watching right now,
very true,
readily relate with. You know, a few years ago, somebody said, when you talk about the economy, you talk about cost of living.
Yes.
It's not so much about who has a lot of money in their bank account or who earns a lot of money every other day, every other week, every other month.
No.
It's about the system. Because at the end of the day, that person who probably earns, let's say, 10 million a month, for example, which ordinarily, for whatever it's worth, is significant to give you a decent life. But then you realize that you're going to have, who knows, relatives, siblings, maybe in-laws. Of course, in Africa, we are very big on that. Right?
Yes, we are.
Yes, and then, of course, you have cousins, you have nephews and nieces, you have friends, you have neighbors, you have colleagues, you have people around you who would need help because the economy is biting, times are tough for them.
Yes.
On that level, this guy says, it's not going to matter so much how much you earn as it should be about the reality of the load you need to carry. So I saw something on Facebook just to mention that yesterday. The guy said, look, I get this request every time people who need help in my mailbox, DM as I say. So but there's this particular one that stands out, and then he posted it anonymously. He wanted people to see what real Nigerians are dealing with every day. So the fact that somebody is wearing suits, wearing gele, and speaking all the grammar most times, it's not a sign that all is well economically. But again, like I mentioned just before we hit a break a while ago, it highlights that resilience, that's never say never spirit of the everyday Nigerian. And that's where we realize that we have now normalized a culture, a system where Juma builds her own house, of course. She sings her own bowl. She just has to figure out how to get light in that house.
And don't forget security. I have to ensure.
Then, of course, access to the house.
Yes.
You're going to tar the road, you're going to do grading, or you're just going to lay gravel from end to end, side to side. Whatever you're going to do is totally your business.
Yes, it is.
And that's the reason when you see people say, I'm not paying taxes, you've got to have a conversation with them. You don't have to preach to them. You don't have to be so much about the law. You don't have to be so legalistic with them. Because at the end of the day, they are drained from their reality and using that as a basis to argue whether you pay taxes or not. And then you now make the mistake of telling them, in the US they pay taxes, in Europe they pay taxes.
But they don't do all of these things.
Well, you heard from Juma already.
They do not, and that's the truth.
They do not do that.
They do not. They do not ensure that the roads are accessible with their own means. They do not ensure that their houses are well secured.
So you get value for the taxes you pay.
You get value for the taxes you pay. In fact, you understand why you have to pay taxes. You don't even have to argue in that sense. Or here, individuals argue because they tell you, for goodness sake, do you know how much I'm paying for rent?
Right.
Do you know how much it is that I do this, I do that? Sometimes there is no light. Do you know how much I pay for light? Do you know how much I have to ensure that if water board now, they're not bringing forth water, I have to sink a borehole. And these are all of the things that my taxes are supposed to cover. These basic amenities are my right. It's not a privilege. It's my right. But yet I do not have all of these things. I have to ensure, because of my comfort, I have to ensure that I do all of these things so that there won't be lapses in the way that I live as an individual. And then you expect me to pay tax when I've already done much more than the tax itself. Then the Pidgin man will say in the Pidgin Palace, you're not serious.
I'm telling you. But you see, those are some of the challenges that people deal with every day. Kunle Afolayan, one of Nigeria's foremost actors and film producers, he put out something on the internet this week, and it has gone viral. And you'll be wondering, we may not know him inside and out, but you can tell this is a man who has found so much accomplishments in the work that he does. Now, Kunle Afolayan, of all people, comes to the internet and he says, look, in the last 4 to 5 weeks, I've spent 11 million naira on electricity alone. He says, I'm done and dusted. I can't continue like this.
Was it for a movie or was it?
Well, whether for a movie, whether for his private residence, the point is, the cost of energy is neck-breaking.
Yes, it is.
My friend's dad has a word for it, right? He says it is cutthroats. That's what it calls it. It says cutthroats. So when something is very expensive, it says I can't pay cutthroats for it. But it's to say that the rich also cry now. One would have thought a gentleman like this, a man...
He doesn't feel the bronze.
Exactly.
He's a multi-millionaire.
Exactly. What touches one touches all.
Yes, it does. And that's the thing. I think we need to really understand that, especially when it comes to electricity and some of the basic amenities, once it's one, it affects all of us. We're all humans living here. We need all of these basic amenities to function, whether it's light, whether it's water, whether it's a roof over our heads, whether it's when it comes to food, when it comes to transportation, education, healthcare. It affects each and every one of us. Even if you say to yourself, oh my goodness, I'm done with school, your kids. Even if, my goodness, I have hospitals, I can travel abroad, your relatives. So all of these things concern circles and balls down around us. So it's very important that we understand that once it affects one, it affects each and every one of us. It is our concern. So we all have a role to play in all of this, whether you're rich, you're the billionaire, the millionaire, or, whatever class you fall under. It's very important that you understand that it concerns you and all. It's not for, the rich can handle it. Oh, well, if they,
for how long?
Exactly. I was going to say that. For how long?
So is it sustainable?
Exactly. That's the thing. So we have a role to play.
You know, Juma, I'll tell you, just before we hit a break now and bring Ramsey in, I'll tell you something that really gives me concern when I read posts from, like this, from people like Afolayo, is the fact that this is a guy who does a lot of movies, epic movies,
fantastic
and stuff,
movies,
award-winning movies.
Yes.
You know, he puts Africa on the map for the right reason.
Yes, he does.
He does a lot of humanitarian work and stuff.
Yes.
So if he has to scale down or scale back, as they say, because costs is now cutthroats, in the words of my friend's dad, it will affect his capacity to hire people, to engage people.
Yeah.
So he's going to cut down on staffing, he's going to cut down on those he brings to sets, he's going to affect how much he's able to reach out to those he impacts in terms of giving people support.
Employment.
So the implications are numerous.
Yes, it is.
We need to put that in perspective.
Yes.
So people don't just say, well, he's making noise. It's not noise. This is real crime.
This is real crime.
He just, again, puts on the front burner the need to, as urgently as possible, address those issues that have kept us where we are. We know, yes, the war in Ukraine have been playing for all of these for the most part.
Yes.
But the question is, how were we doing before the war? All right, we can't blame our entire failing or failure on the war. So again, it's a time to look inward, reflect, take responsibility, man up, be courageous, and do the right thing. We're taking a quick break now, and the man who teaches us how to face our future and, of course, do the right thing at the right time is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and he's here with Heart to Heart Inspirational.
Hello and welcome to another moment of Heart to Heart Inspirational. Let's talk heart to heart a little bit, because a lot of people have not been able to bounce back after the last time they failed. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Welcome to Heart Inspirationals. Failure is a feedback and not a funeral. I want to say that again, because of people who failed. Some people fell and they remain on the ground. They never got up again because of what they feel people around them are going to say. But then failure is a feedback. And that's why some people tell you all the time that whatever happens, all right, there is a lecture from every lesson. Whatever happens to you in life, there is something that you are meant to learn from it, either positively or negative thing that you need to take cognizance of and be watchful as you move on the journey of life. So I just want to tell you today that failure is a feedback and not a funeral. What kind of feedback did you get from that last failure? Have you even tried anything at all? Have you experienced failure before? If you've not experienced failure before, it means you need to try harder, because on this journey of destiny, people who are successful today are people who have failed a number of times and they got up on their feet, learned from their mistake, and their mistake became a stepping stone for them, and of course they are where they are today. Why? Because they never allow that failure to become a funeral to their dream. What am I emphasizing? As a matter of fact, let's normalize something today, all right? Let's normalize something today. A failure, you've heard about it all the time. Okay, this person is a failure, that person is a failure. People assess their counterparts, their neighbors, their brothers, their colleagues differently with different perspectives. Some persons already have been tagged as failure, and that has been affecting a lot of people. But then, have you accepted that you are a failure? That somebody told you are a failure does not make you a failure until you accept that you are a failure. All right, not because it feels good, but because it is necessary. Sometimes, it's risk. It's risk. If you have taken a risk before, and of course, it didn't go well the way you think it was going to go, and you failed, it doesn't mean that is a funeral. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try it again. I was speaking with someone a few days ago, And we're talking about a particular business. And the young man told me, now I am successful. But then, during my wilderness experience, when I was in the workshop, nobody knew anything about me. When I was failing over and over and over again, I lost money several times. I had to stay indoors and think of the next thing to do. He failed severally until he said, no, I am not going to allow this failure become a funeral. My dream is not going to be cut short by this failure. And he stood on his ground. Consistency. I must always emphasize consistency anytime I come up to speak to anyone on Heart to Heart, because it is very important. If you want to succeed in life, then consistency and discipline is very important. But the bottom line is this: nobody ever succeeds without first stumbling. Yes, you stumble, then you stand again. Even every little child, before a child starts walking, you stand them up, you see them, they walk a little bit, they fall. They walk a little bit, they fall until their leg gets stable on the ground. All right? And you see them walking firmly. Then before you know it, they start running. The same thing is applicable to life. So failure, as a matter of fact, is not proof that you can't. All right? It's not a proof that you can't do it. It's proof that you tried. It's a proof that you tried. When you fail, it means you tried and you failed. It doesn't mean that's the end. It reveals what doesn't work and refine what eventually would work later. That's what failure does. Anytime you fail, you know that, yes, this one does not work. Let me try the other one. It gives you a focus. It makes you know that, yes, if I go this way, I'm going to fail again. So I need to do something else. It's only a fool that do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. If you are doing one thing the same way all the time, you get the same result. You need to apply technicality, strategy, discipline, excellence every time. Whatever you do, let that touch of excellence be in your head. All right? So that when you fail in one thing, you try doing it the other way. But then don't allow that first, second, third, fourth failure be your funeral. Let your dream and your vision and your talent not be buried because you failed. Because that failure is trying to refine you. It's trying to build something in you. What do you have to do? I want you to know that failure, what it does is that it reveals what doesn't work and refines what eventually will work. But you need to have this mentality. Every setback is information. If you are willing to learn, yes, that's what it means. Every setback that you've had in the past is an information. Because there is something you need to learn from every setback, from every failure. Everyone throwing stones at you right now is because they know you are going somewhere. Let me tell you the truth. We have a lot of friendly enemies these days. Some people are smiling with you, but then they are not interested in your success. What they say behind you, if you hear it, hey, but then that shouldn't deter you. That shouldn't deter you because you have a destination. So every setback is information if you are willing to learn, because most people don't fail because they are incapable. That you failed, it's not because you are incapable, but because you are going somewhere, because you are dogged, because you are rugged, because you are determined, because you are focused, because you have a dream, you have a vision, something you are pursuing and something you want to get. You have a target. So when people like that fail, they fail because they don't stop. But if you stop anytime soon, it means that failure has gotten to you. Let me give you an illustration. For instance, a GPS recalculates when you miss a turn. It doesn't shut down. All right? Failure, in other words, simply means it's time to adjust. Anytime you fail, the message is, no, I need to adjust. This principle, this procedure, this formula is not working. I need to adjust. There is something I need to do so that I don't fail again. That's what it means. Anytime you fail, there is a message. It is telling you it is time to adjust the procedure. It is time to re-strategize. That's what it means. All right, so you don't need to abandon your journey because you failed. There is a practical mindset shift that you need to have, and this is it. Number one, stop attaching shame to failure. Yes, stop attaching shame to failure. Some people, when they fail, they feel shy. Oh no, I'm not going to get on that stage again. They will laugh at me. No, I'm not going to do that business again. People will laugh at me. People will mock me. The same people will celebrate and want to identify with you if you are a success. So there should be a mindset and a mind shift for you. Extra lessons instead of self-criticism. Stop criticizing yourself because you failed. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop comparing yourself to other people with other people because you failed. That you failed. Failure is not a funeral. Stop burying yourself in shame and criticism. Try again. Make it better. Make it wiser. Make it stronger. That's what it means. All right. Failure is tuition paid for future success. That is a quote that I'm bringing to you now. Failure, I said, is what? Is tuition paid for future success. But if you don't pay, if you go to school now, all right, 100 level, you need to pay a tuition. In 100 level, you get to 200, you pay another tuition before you can get to 300 level. In every of this level, there are tuitions to pay. If you want to change levels in life, don't be scared of failure. If you are scared of failure, you will never try anything good. So what you have to do? Keep pushing. Don't bury your dream because of one mistake that you made. I'll keep saying this. Learn, rise, and move forward. Don't worry about what people are saying. Don't worry about the situation around you. Don't think, oh, I have failed. I don't need to try it again. Keep trying. Change the strategy. Become wiser. Failure make you wiser. Because you walk through this way and you fail, you apply this strategy, this technique, this principle, this formula, and you failed. You will now need to re-strategize. Use another formula. All right? Until you get to your success. Until you get to what you want to achieve in life. All right. So you need to know that anytime you fail, it's a signal that you need to turn. You need to do something again. You need to re-strategize. You need to improvise. Come up with something new. As a matter of fact, failure is not the best option for you. So what you have to do? Try as much as possible. Right, to be sincere in everything that you do. Because if you want to please people, it will be disastrous. You don't need to please anyone, all right? You don't need to please anyone. It is when you're thinking about pleasing people that when you stumble, you say, oh, I've disappointed this person. I've disappointed even people who really love you, who want you to be successful. By the time you fail, instead of them condemning you, they will come and encourage you to do better. And that's the reason you need mentors. That's the reason you need people to talk to per time. All right? You need to talk to people. See, if you are embarking on a project, I emphasize mentorship all the time. I was speaking with a friend a few days ago and I told the person, if I want to do this thing you're doing now, it is going to be express for me. It's going to be easier. I may have hitches. There might be some times where you have losses or maybe failure at some point, but then you have people to ask questions. I have someone to ask questions. Hey, I got hooked here. What do I do? Even the disaster is not going to be as disastrous as it would have been if you never have anyone to guide you on this journey of destiny. You really need people, okay? Because as your association determine your acceleration in life, okay? And your friends, you need to be careful with the kind of friends you have. If you have a bad friend, it is disaster. If you have a good friend, it means you have a shoulder to lean on, a shoulder to stand on and be tall so that you can get to that success that you are running after, that you are pursuing. Yes, congratulations, everyone. You are a success going somewhere to happen. Don't allow anything stop you on the way. Not failure, not criticism. Don't bury yourself because you failed. Failure is not funeral. Bye-bye for now and have a beautiful day.
All right, you're welcome back. Hope you were well inspired with the Heart to Heart Inspirational with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. At about this time is the newspaper review segment, and we'll start with the first paper of the day. It's the Daily Sun. Now, beside the nameplate, it says here, Enugu Air gets AOC in record time, targets regional flights by year end. And you will find that read on page 25. Now below that it says price relief fades as Dangote cuts petrol by 100 naira. Okay. And the Star story reads US flags plans attack on its facilities in Nigeria. And below all of that here it says appeal court judgment, PDP leaders weigh options. And that read you will find on page 6 and 28. And the writer says reconciliation must be based on principle. And the next writer reads, Wike men step up plans for national convention. And on page 5 on the Daily Sun, it says, police make breakthrough in hunt for killers of Ebonyi monarch, arrest mastermind. That's a relief and a step in the right direction. And on page 6, it says, Gumi accuses FG of knowing terrorists, okay? And the writer reads, reveals how he goes with military police to negotiate with insurgents.
Quite interesting.
Quite very interesting there. And on page 27, it says, Tinubu orders quick rollout of 100,000 CNG kits to ease fuel increase pressure. Yeah, that's a step in the right direction. Hope it gets to the masses who actually need this means of transportation. It's very important.
The target beneficiaries.
The target beneficiaries is very important because a lot will tell you it's only people that are high up there that actually benefit, but there are target beneficiaries that really need this, and I pray it just gets to them. And of course, that is all on the Daily Sun. Go out and get yourself a copy on the major headlines making round. Next, we have The Guardian.
All right, let's look at The Guardian for you real quick. Top of the headline here, the name master, I should say. Dangote, Rabiu, Adenuga, Tedola dominate Forbes 2026 rich list. I like the way it says rich list. All right, very soon I'm sure we'll be reading Juma on that list as well.
Amen.
Right. All right, then there's a big one here with a kicker, party politics. APC's 31 of 36 states narrow options, multi-party contest in 2027. All right, well, there's a map there that helps to provide insight as to where APC has its footprints now, in a manner of speaking. All right, the party has 31 governors in its bag, so to speak. Then you have a few more headlines here. PDP Caretaker Committee celebrates appeal court verdict, validation. Banks mandated to activate anti-money laundering systems. On business page 15 is where you find those details. And then one with a picture of Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Kayamo, says Africa has highest aviation accidents, IATA declares. On page 5, Gumi again pops up here on the Guardian newspaper. Federal government knows name, location of every terrorist, Gumi alleges. All right, what are we doing with the allegation? Which has its details on page 3. Middle East crisis, UNCTAD warns of fresh fiscal pressure on Nigeria, others. Federal government rolls out CNG kits as petrol diesel spending nears 3 trillion naira in March. Page 6. Customs seizes 13 containers of expired drugs worth 6.38 billion naira at Apapa Port. That just makes you understand how commercial these, if you like, these traders, illicit traders have gone. Expired drugs, so you'll be shocked how much of it has gone into circulation already. You know, every time I hear NAFDAC is enforcing some sort of initiative, it's cracking down on these peddlers and vendors of fake products or wholesome products. The first thing that hits me is how much of this has gone into people's homes? How much of this do we have in households right now? How much of these have people consumed, and what's happening to them?
What is, in fact, that's the issue, and that is why you hear the high rise of malaria, because individuals keep treating malaria back to back. But I just took this drug, and then the next day,
2 weeks ago?
Just 2 weeks ago, and now you're telling me I still have malaria. Are you kidding me right now? It's just all about these drugs that are into circulation, and I'm just glad that NAFDAC, they're doing what it takes when it comes to these individuals. And there was an awareness that was created about drugs to know the original from the fake. There's a batch code that you can actually scratch it off.
You can scratch and scan the barcode.
And scan the barcode. Very important. I think people should take that into consideration and do that, because it goes a long way in saving life. These are all precautionary measures, because these fake drugs is very detrimental to your health. I do health guides, so I know all of these. Okay, I'm not a professional enough for but you know,
when the doctors are proud of it.
Well, the doctors are proud. The doctors are proud of me, but it's very important that we take these things very seriously, because there's so many fakes around now, especially when it comes to our health, and these things can actually deteriorate your health into something else. Malaria can just lead to kidney failure. An individual's lungs can just shut down, and you'll be shocked that it's these drugs that are causing all of these things. So it's better that barcode is taken into consideration. I think all pharmaceutical companies should understand that barcode is an authentication for us to understand that these drugs are real, they are not forged or fake. It's very important. We take precautionary measures. Our health is very important.
Yes, it is. We shouldn't take that for granted for any reason. We have just, one more headline to go on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. It says Customs intercepts undeclared foreign currencies at Kano Airport. Somewhere on the left side of my head, I'm hearing Kano Airport again.
Kano Airport again.
Because we had seen something like this before, not too long ago. But again, we understand the customs are on top of the situation now. Those are your headlines from the Guardian newspaper. Do yourself a favor, pick up a copy and read up details. Next port of call is The Nation.
All right, now the Nation newspaper, above the nameplate of the Nation newspaper, it reads, Forbes billionaires list. Dangote leads as Rabiu Adenuga or Tedola remain on global wealth ranking. Am I surprised? No, I am not. And then you can find that read on page 2. And then below the nameplate, it says, ICPC gets court order to detain El-Rufai for another 14 days. And that's on page 3. You call that manhunt, witch hunt? You do not know. What kind of hunt is it? But hope we get to the letter. And then, of course, on page 7, it reads, federal government suspends fuel import licenses. And it says, Dangote cuts petrol price. And on page 7, it says, Executive Order 9 to protect Federation Revenue System. And below that, it says, lawyer to foreigners among 32 terror suspects arrested in Kwara. Now, you know, we mentioned something about individuals who people look up to, role models in the society. And when you hear, like the last one we heard of, there was a particular northern state, there was a lecturer who was caught in the web of cult activities and all of that. Now a lawyer, someone who's supposed to... Who would have thought? A lawyer, and then you, lawyers, there are 2 of them, by the way, and you just say to yourself...
So you can't feign ignorance of the law?
No, you cannot. You cannot. it's just unfortunate that this is what we individuals, not we, but some individuals have actually decided to demean themselves too, because you see, this is the fastest way to fast money. I always say because you can't tell me that they will do this for free. No, there's always a price.
In fact, money is the incentive.
That is the main, according to Impeding Power, that's the cocoa. All right, so now the Star story reads, court verdict, PDP fractions maintain different positions. And here on page 26, the writer reads on page 26, time to bury the hatchet, or party won't field candidate, and that Saraki cancels. And it says Tinubu orders rollout of 100,000 CNG conversion kits, okay? And basically, that is all on the Nation newspaper. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with issues making rounds. Next is the Nigerian Tribune.
Look at the Nigerian Tribune. Top right, first of all, it says, surgery in PMS price. Federal government orders deployment of 100,000 CNG conversion kits nationwide. That starts happening immediately, and the distribution process is as fast as light. Excuse me. A Middle East crisis may trigger inflation capital outflow. That's according to the federal government. Petrol stations yet to reflect new rates as Dangote Refinery slashes PMS price by 100 naira per litre. Oil prices fall 15% after U.S. Navy escorts tanker through Hormuz Strait. Iran begins laying mines in Strait of Hormuz, CNN reports. That's on page 27. Well, that is as dangerous as it sounds.
Yes, it is.
Kidnapping, that's a ticker for the big headline here. Protest in Ondo, Oyo. 2 dead, 3 abducted as Ayedatiwa vows crackdown on kidnappers. Protesters calls police query DPO, detained inspector over protest in Oyo community. Arrest 2 Nigerian nationals, 30 other suspected bandits in Kwara. Afenifere expresses concern over rising cases of kidnapping, banditry in Southwest. Of course, it's surprising. ASU Unilag begins a strike over unpaid salaries. That's on page 28 for you. Nigerian Air Force offers drones support to INEC for 2027 election monitoring. Health, new injectable gel could help treat permanent voice loss. That's a typo there, obviously.
Really?
Yes. Can you imagine that? So Juma, being a broadcaster, doesn't need to fear losing her voice. She can shout and sing and do everything she wants to with her voice.
We have gel injectables, but the thing is, how reliable are they? Let's just stick with our warm water, garlic, and ginger.
You're saying don't ditch your winning formula.
Don't ditch your winning formula, because some of these, now we've heard about fake drugs and all of that. I'm not saying it's fake, but let's be sure.
You also don't want to jump into an experiment.
No, I don't want to take chances. It's very important. Right. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Of course it is. Well, let's go wrap it up here on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. The last one says, appeal court ruling. That's your kicker. PDP factions hold tight to party. It's a challenging period for democracy, but we are not bothered. That's according to Governor for your state, Sheyi Makinde. All right, bury your differences. No time to get to Supreme Court, Saraki advises. Time for unity, reconciliation, rebuilding. Natasha is the one to whom that is granted. So, very key figures of the party are now speaking up to say that, look, there's no price too high to pay for peace.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Please read up those details, all of them, as much as you can from the Nigerian Tribune. We move on now to First Daily newspaper.
All right, now the First Daily newspaper, and it reads here, Customs intercepts 13 containers of expired drugs at Apapa port. 13. That's a lot. A container, one container,
they have it in 13 places.
In 13 places. That is a lot. For those, for individuals who have not seen the container, those big iron. I'm trying to explain it to individuals who are thinking, would you mind? What are you trying to infer to? But those that you see all these very big
I
trucks.
think basically the standard is it's a 30 feet.
30, exactly. And when that falls on cars, it crushes individuals to pieces. So you can imagine how many. It's so much into 13 places going into circulation in Nigeria. That is that if it would have gone into circulation, that would have been a major.
If it had not been intercepted
by the customs, it would have been a very serious problem. Fake drugs. A lot of people would have gone to sing the Hallelujah song. All right, moving on now, and it says here. NNPCL secures Tinubu's approval for $20 billion Bonga Deep Water Project. And it says here, police arrest alleged mastermind of a Moi monarch's kidnap murder. And that's a step in the right direction. Individuals who commit these heinous crimes should not go unpunished.
The long arm of the law, you can't catch up with them.
Yes, like you always say, 100 days for the thief.
In fact, more than sometimes.
You said
but you know that there's that special one day.
That one day. That one day. And then, of course, the Star story reads, fuel price upturn. Dangote cuts petrol to 1,075 naira after 1,175 naira hike. Yeah, at least it's something.
It says it's reasonable.
It's reasonable. It's
quite
something.
An appreciable margin.
Not really, but at least it's something. And it says, the writer says, relief expected as pump price pressure eases nationwide. And below all of that, on the first daily, it says, Iran warns Trump of retaliation amid escalation tensions. FG unveils $500 million immigration dam program to boost food security. And it says FG begins debate on social media age limit for children. I think I like this. It's a step in the right direction. Age individuals, we should have that particular age bracket so that children should not rope or bridge into individuals who are teenagers or the young preteens, young adults, and all of that. It's very important. Unilag lecturers declares indefinite strike over amputated salaries. We keep going back and forth this way. It's unfortunate. Tinubu submits 2026 FCT budget to Senate. And basically, those are all the major headlines on the first daily. Go out and get yourself a copy to be well abreast with issues making rounds. Next is the Daily Trust.
All right, sir. Let's get you the first headline here. 3 of them actually lined up just immediately underneath the name masts. Top left first. A nursing students protest 544% hike in fees. That's outrageous. Those details are on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. The troops neutralize terrorists, recover arms in Sokoto. Fake doctor should die by hanging in Ekiti. We understand this person was actually someone who got some training in nursing, right?
Okay.
But even at that, there was a lot of quackery at that level of nursing.
Oh, wow.
But then only for them to begin to impersonate as being a doctor. So there are 2 counts here. The first is impersonation.
Yes.
The second is someone has died
in the process.
Yes.
Oh.
So there's first degree murder, if you like to say second degree, depending on the lawyer arguing
the angle. Yes.
But one thing is clear: you have impersonated, and this is not just anything else. You didn't impersonate a broadcaster or a
to get to it. This has to do with life.
Life, exactly. So it's quite a complicated situation.
But you know what? There are lots of quackeries around. A lot of doctors a lot of individuals who impersonate themselves as doctors. Right. And you'll be surprised they do a fantastic job.
And you're wondering.
Are you kidding me? They perform surgery, operations. A friend of mine in med school says there was this guy. He was not even, but he portrayed himself as a doctor. But he didn't even see the 4 walls. He just read books and all of that. He read and he could do minor surgeries, and you are shocked. But when he was caught and they asked him, "You've not been to the 4 walls?" He's like, he read books. He wanted to develop himself, and no one has died in his hands because he's doing fantastically well. But what would you call that, Uyi?
It's quite interesting. You see, we need to rethink this.
In fact,
while we're dealing with the criminal aspects of
true,
it, we must now rethink the genius or the ingenuity that goes into that sort of act, right? It's pretty much like the case of cybercrime. You see people who are extraordinarily brilliant, people who are very ingenious at what they do, with next to no formal education at all.
Very true.
From a very, very disadvantaged, I don't want to say poor background, right?
Yeah.
But you see what they do with the computer. Some of them have never even used the computer, but look at what they do with their mobile phones.
Exactly.
Things like that. So while we are concerned and bothered and having sleepless nights about the crimes they commit, which is natural, we must also now ask ourselves. It requires a level of deep thinking.
Yes,
something radical away from the conventional, to say, what can we do with these people? How do we deploy them to maximize what they have
in the
interest of society? Lastly, there was,
and the nation.
Of course, there was this issue, again, similar to this one we're talking about, medical field. A guy who was not just impersonating. In fact, this one gets really interesting. He would come on radio and speak as a consultant, as a medical consultant. So he's not just a doctor, he's a medical consultant.
Okay, he really upgraded himself.
Right. So he would come to a particular radio station. It's just like we have, for example, a gentleman like Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, who comes to talk about security issues. I mean, this is a man who has cut his teeth, has built his profile over the years, home and abroad, across the world, and all of that. So he's an authority in those fields.
Yes,
so this guy comes to Dario more like an in-house analyst. He comes to talk about health issues. So you have Ebola, he comes to analyze it for members of the public. You have an outbreak like COVID, he comes to talk about it.
Okay.
And one day, something goes wrong. Of course, something always goes wrong. And then, even the radio station is shocked.
What went wrong?
He was caught. You know, it's an interesting world we live in. It's a world of over 8 billion people. So surprises will never end, I'm afraid.
No, they will not end. All right, let's
finish up what we started, everyone, here on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Fuel crisis deepens, economists tell federal government to act. An SCDC personnel shot dead after accidental discharge.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Wow. Sad story. Details on page 13 for you. Residents block highway over insecurity in Ondo. PDP leaders move to save party. 2 brothers drowned fleeing phone snatchers in Kano. Again, another sad story. Well, let's look at our last paper this morning, and that's the Punch newspaper.
All right, the Punch newspaper now above the nameplate on page 2. It reads, Dangote now supplies 92% of petrol as FG pauses imports. And the writer says, the writer is not clear, so you have to go get that paper, the Punch newspaper, and read the write up yourself. And on page 21, it says, FG weighs policy tweaks as middle war lingers. And beside the nameplate, it says, India, others reject Tinubu's envoy over tenor policy. And that's on page 20. And the Star story reads, appeal court fallout. PDP governors, Wike camp move to open reconciliation talks. And below that, the writer says, warring blocs may hold peace talks soon as INEC deadline nears. Saraki PDP chiefs plan truce, joint caretaker committee ahead of March 31st convention. And it says, Governor's camp says court judgment clears path for party resets, rebuilding process. And below that, it says, Gombe deploys 700 forest guards, recruits for training in Oshun. That's good. I'm happy. I like that form of employment opportunities for the youth. And it says, on page 21, on the Punch, it says, CBN extends anti-money laundering compliance deadline for banks. And on page 4 and 5, it says, anxiety as patient goes missing after leaving Lagos hospital. Okay. And this is a very serious issue on page 8. It says, Lassa fever kills 99, cases near 2,000. This is scary.
Lassa is underrated.
It's underrated. I think a lot of awareness needs to be done. And, well, that's the last paper on the newspaper review segment this beautiful Wednesday morning. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with issues making round. And to all our notice, Global Television has no editorial impute or judgment on these papers. They were read exactly how it was, how it's imprinted on a newspaper. Global TV has not imputed one word on this paper, right, Uyi?
Of course.
And then up next is Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Mobono. Do not go anywhere. It's Global Morning on Global Television. Stay tuned.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning.
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Good morning, Nigerians and viewers around the world. It's time to look at buzzing issues on social media, and today we're talking about school fee hike in University Nnamdi Azikiwe University. So nursing students protest hike in fee from 90,000 naira to 580,000 naira. Students of the College of Nursing at Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital in Nnewi on the 10th of March, which was yesterday, staged a protest over a sharp increase in their tuition fees. In a video making the rounds on social media, the aggrieved students could be seen carrying placards to express their dissatisfactions with the hike. One of the placards reads, from 90,000 naira to 580,000 naira. Very bad. The aggrieved students were also seen chanting songs like "We no go gree, reduce the school fees, we no go gree," while marching and displaying placards. The College of Nursing is affiliated with Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital, one of the major tertiary healthcare institutions in Anambra State. The school authority is yet to react to this development. Let's take a look at the video. We don't agree. We don't agree. All right, well, taking a look at that video, I must say that the reason for the protest is valid because 90 to 580,000 naira, that's a lot. The margin is too big to sit in your classroom or in your house and not say anything about it. Most of the students, the reason why they went to a public school, not just because, sometimes we say public schools, public university have good, professors and all of that, but most of them went there because they can't even afford a private university because the school fees is high. And now you're taking it to the level of a private university. What do you want them to do? Well, let's take some comments from social media as regards this topic. And the first comment is coming from Official Teddy Wealth. And Teddy says, this country is programmed to make lives unbearable for its citizens by the government. Okay, I don't think so, but sometimes it looks like that's it. Well, second comment is coming from Young Wives and Mothers. And Young Wife says, how about now, from 90,000 naira to 580,000 naira, that is 544% increase. That's over 6 times the original fee. How is the common man supposed to cope? Thank you so much, Young Wives and Mothers. And the last but not the least, comments coming from Afro Kene. And Kene says, once fuel price increases, expect increase in every other thing. Transport, school fees, hospital bills, foodstuff, rent, etc. And that's the way it's looking at this point. Well, these are the comments we have for today. And I'm not alone today in the studio. I have with me Uyi Abumofwegbe. Good morning, Uyi.
Very good morning to you, Gochuku. Incidentally, you are not a nurse, neither, as far as I know, do you have any ambition of becoming one?
Okay. Well, I'm not a nurse, but these are students. So, right. And I was once a student. I remember when I was in school, and my school fees from 100 level, I think I paid 19,000 naira. And when I got to 400 level, so they added one other cost, like to our original cost. And, they told us, because of this added cost, we are going to pay 25,000 naira. My dear, we all protested. We carried placard. But at the end of the day, we paid. We paid that 25,000 naira because we saw the reason. They explained to us. They said they're adding this extra one because this is like more of an international certification. Right. It was TRC and the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. They will tell you, you can use it anywhere, you can work. That's to certify that you're a certified teacher. So it was valid, they explained. But why? I don't see any reason why you increase fee from 90,000 naira to 580,000 naira. Someone just did the math and said this is over 544% difference, increase in school fees. What exactly are they using it for? Because we get to see these schools, when you go back to your school, I will not lie to you, you will see that it's aside the painting, there's nothing new in the school. So I'm asking myself, what exactly are they using this school fees for? What are you buying in the school? What are you changing? This is too much.
Incidentally, well, you already highlighted that much, but let's just lend our voice to it for a second, right? This is not just so much about the increase as it is about the margin by which the original school fees of 90,000 has been increased. And that math was very correct. It's across the papers today. You are looking at, this is not just triple digits increase. It's triple digits in multiple places. So it's nasty to even think of. It's embarrassing. It assaults your thinking, right? So let's get down to it. What are the factors responsible for this decision? What did the school's management look at to say, hey, look, this 90,000 is no longer realistic, economically speaking, in terms of cost of running this facility or this institution. Therefore, let's bump up a little, which ordinarily won't be a problem, because whether you like it or not, there's the economic angle or elements in running a school, whether it's nursing school or whatever kind of school it is. Plus, this is a specialized institution. We have to be clear. But the real concern is, how did you arrive at the decision to move it from 90,000 to 580,000? That's disturbing, right? Yes, in the middle of all this, I need to highlight that there's some unconfirmed reports that the school is considering a downward review of this proposed increase. But with a big if that is the case, by what margin will it be reduced? Have we looked at the, if you like, average financial capacity of the students in that school? Yes, lecturers in most Nigerian public universities will tell you, if you think education is too expensive, try ignorance. That can be very sarcastic. It can be very, if you like, rude, for want of better words. But the real concern now should be will this not deny even aspiring students, all right, access into nursing education in Nigeria? If those who are already in the middle, some of them probably will be done in less than one academic session, for example, already are feeling the bites, they are feeling the pinch. How about those who have not even stepped their foot in this academy? So we have to look at that. Plus, I understand there's a regulatory, if you like, council for nursing. They should also look beyond the qualification and the proficiency, so to speak, of the nursing students. They should look at costs. How do we determine costs? Otherwise, people will be, as we say in election, disenfranchised, all right? They will be denied access to study nursing, all right? So we need to look at that so that other schools don't take a cue from this and say, well, one school somewhere in Southeast did it and nothing happened, they moved on. What's the problem? And what's the big deal if we also do the same? We have to keep the main thing, ensure that while we must continue to fund education very effectively, we do not break people's backs just because they want to acquire nursing education.
All right, thank you so much, Uyi. To add to that, I must say that we are losing our medical practitioners like daily, because this is going to increase the Japa syndrome. I've seen a lot of persons say, you know what, nurses make it more outside the country than in Nigeria. So when you see things like this, you already have the belief, you've concluded in your mind that, yes, this is the reason why, you know, things like this happen, the Japa and everything. We lose doctors, and right now nurses are also complaining. Most times these students are not even pre-informed about the school fees hike. They just go to pay the school fees and they find out that it's no longer the 90,000 naira or the you know, normal price we used to pay, and we are seeing a new one. How do you expect the parents? You talked about the average students in the school. You know, how do you expect them to pay that kind of school fee? 580,000 naira. Well, since you said that they are looking into it, of course, let them do, and also let's know exactly what they are bringing it down to, because you cannot say, okay, let me remove 50,000 naira and you're bringing it to 500,000 naira. You still haven't done anything yet. So yes, thank you so much once again, Uyi, for your contribution to today's topic. And yes, this is all we have for you today on Social Buzz here on Global Morning. I am Ogoch Kumobno. Please stay with us as Global Morning continues, and Uyi and Jumai will be ushering us into the discussion section of Global Morning. Good morning once again, Nigeria and the rest of the world. Bye for now.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
You see that video we watched a while ago during Social Buzz with Ogochukwu. It highlights many disturbing realities that we are dealing with in our country today. And I'll just take a mic back a little to sometime in 2024 when we saw nurses in that number. All right, they were out protesting. What were they protesting about? They said the authorities won't allow them sign up and complete the paperwork necessary for those who want to maybe further their training abroad or be able to access opportunities abroad.
Yes.
Now, when you look at that, you realize that we're dealing with a lot of systemic problems. The question I'm asking myself the whole time, because I saw that story at about dinner time yesterday, is who regulates or who determines what a particular specialized institution can charge?
Exactly.
All right. Is it based on the peculiarities regarding the location, that's the geography? Is it the staff strength? Is it the quality of the training or the teaching? In any case, who measures the quality of the training? I mean, you can't just move tuition from 90 to 580,000.
410,000 naira difference.
It looks like the distance between Sokoto and Lagos.
Sokoto and Lagos, like, they have to go by air, really. You can't go by road.
Well, I'm talking about night bus.
Okay. But you know, it's just unfortunate that this is what it is. And of course, it's going to boil down to the high cost. So I'm waiting for that aspect. I'm just saying, it's just an institution that they're going to wait for. I guess is the high cost of transportation when it comes to fuel, bringing these facilitators to come on board or whatever. And Ogo mentioned something. She says is it that they want to change the school, give the school a new uplift. But of course, we know that's not going to happen. But basically, what is it all about? I know the health sector has been going up and down when it comes to these issues, and everyone is being affected by it. But is that the way? Is that the way forward to increase tuition fees for individuals who are actually struggling? That is a public institution, by the way. It's not private, where you can afford the very best of the best. There are no issues when it comes to facilitators not coming. They give you the best standards. When it comes to private is always different. They give you value for money, but this is public. And these, for as much as they are good hands when it comes to chief medical directors who come there wanting to give their best, give their all, but at the same time, these are individuals who cannot afford private institutions to go to. This is their best bet. This is the best way they can. And you'll be shocked the level of these individuals what their parents have to go through to ensure that they stay in school with that 90,000 naira. I bet you most of them are going to drop out from that nursing school. Because
if this new fee stays.
If it stays to 510,000 naira.
590, 580.
580.
From 90 to 580.
580, sorry. 580 and 80.
Right.
The thing is, most of these those beautiful girls you see, they're going to drop out.
Will leave school?
They will have immediately. They will have to leave school because they cannot cope. 90,000 there are some homes that 90,000 naira is a struggle. Some are like the ones that their mothers are looking up to. One day you finish. One day when you finish, at least you will help. Now with this amount, their mothers have to fry kosi on the roadside. That's the bean cake. Right. Akara.
The popular akara.
Some have to hawk before they go to school. Some have to do a lot of things. These are individuals of, will I say, the disadvantaged individuals in our society to attend that particular Nnamdi Azikiwe nursing school because they do not have. They cannot pay the 700,000 naira to get the best of the best. Are you kidding me? They cannot pay those fees. And once you do that, what are you? The society now. And women, well, when it comes to, we are always the ones that feel the brunt sometimes. The men can actually ruffle it out. That's why God has made you
find your way around it.
Yes, exactly. But the women, when it comes to being vulnerable, prostitution, when it comes to getting pregnant, when it comes to all of these things, just because they want to make ends meet. Some people that do not
make some very crazy choices.
Exactly. And if we're supposed to make life easier. We know things are hard, but make it easier. Just leave it as 90,000 naira. This is 480 is too much for individuals. Most people won't be able to afford this, and it's just very sad because there's always a disadvantage when it comes to issues like this.
Well over 500%. It's crazy.
That's
but at this point, I think we should be.
That's a lot.
Yes, we should now be asking very seriously that the authorities should intervene, whether it's Federal Ministry of Education in this case,
important.
Whether it is the council itself that regulates nursing in Nigeria, they should all intervene. And then, of course, civil societies whose work focuses on education and, of course, gender-specific issues should also intervene. But this is also an opportunity to talk about access to education generally, beyond nursing, beyond School of Med, beyond all of those fields that we call professional courses. We must now look at how much of access people have to education.
Exactly.
It's one thing for us to tell people, go to school, go to school, go to school. Look at Nigeria today. We're seeing different numbers. At one point they say 11 million. Later they say it's 20 million out of school children. How did they get out of school? Why did they get out of school? Who is addressing those problems that took them out of school in the first instance? Some of them have never been to school, not for one day.
No.
Some were in school but dropped out. One time, former governor, the immediate past governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, also raised concerns in this area. He was talking about attrition in school rates. You go to school in a particular term, you see a number of students. You go back the next term, it has dropped. By the time you go back the next session altogether, you see an astronomical slump in the numbers.
True.
You wonder what's happening. Is it like we don't have enough school buildings? Is it like we don't have capacity to take in pupils? We must incentivize education.
Very important.
At time we fail also to talk about what that means. But basically, it should be such that people should have a reason to go to school. They don't have to be compelled. They don't have to be forced. No. It doesn't have to be this kind of military approach. People should know that not just that education is important and vital.
Right?
Well, but basically,
yeah, just say on the duress. That'll be fine.
Right. I mean, basically, people should know that you go to school. They should find a reason that is pleasant, a reason that sort of motivates them to go to school. Because it's not just about going to school so you can get a good job and earn a lot of money. It's so you go to school, your mind is expanded,
you're exposed.
Your thought process is open up, right? You see society from a balanced standpoint, and then you also now build the capacity, the required competence to lend your voice to, well, modern day challenges, issues around us, and then be able to make a difference starting from your own small corner.
You know what, there's a very, this is my own opinion, Jumai Manson, by the way. I feel there's a very big lacuna when it comes to the educational sector, whether from all the way up there, tertiary, and way down there when it comes to, even to the primary, there's a very big lacuna there. And I think a lot needs to be done. And that was why, at that process, there was this year, I don't want to get the year wrong, the feeding program was to actually encourage children to come.
Under former administration of late former President
Muhammadu Buhari, because there was a survey and they asked, okay, why with this up and down when it comes to numbers of children coming to school this term, and then they're like, some of them, their parents cannot afford to feed them in the mornings, they're always hungry, and that was why, and because they want to make ends meet, the mothers have to hawk. Like, okay, fine, don't stress yourself, bring them to school, we'll feed them. There's a feeding program that is ongoing to just give you that rest as a mother. You don't have to stress yourself, just bring the kid. But when they went round, when I was working in my former place of work, and then we went to some schools. We just went there on a survey. The schools were nothing to write home about.
Apparently, these are public schools.
Oh my goodness. These kids were under the tree. The classes were dilapidated. And there was a feeding program ongoing. I was like, I don't understand. Let's do the needful first. It is better you rehabilitate, you ensure that this school is well enough to accommodate this. The conducive environment of reading was not there in the first place. The ceilings were practically falling off. And then you just say to yourself, education. Education in Nigeria is not... People will tell you it's not really worth anything because at the long run, there's nothing to write home about it. Ask those in tertiary institutions, they'll tell you, as a graduate, I know there's some people that have been at home 10 years, no jobs. And some who have read very substantive courses are underpaid. You'd be surprised a graduate earns 35,000 naira. Don't be shocked, it's true. That is just where we are. It's 2026. And you're shocked and you're wondering to yourself, this is an individual that has spent 4 years, 4 walls in the university. Talk more of our little ones who try as much. That is why parents will just say, go and learn a skill. Or just hawk and then learn a skill and then last you do all right. No, it's just unfortunate that lacuna is going to take God and grace. Like I always say, I know government when it comes to putting in all these efforts, but like I said, when your predecessor is there or he's about leaving, let him give a formal handing and taking over and explaining to you what he has done and that is why I'm not saying anything. But my godmother, she is the president of Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, Mrs. Safiya Shaibu. She's doing something now. She says, in my own tenure, I'm not going to build schools. I'm not going to do all of these things. My predecessors that have worked before, projects that are ongoing that they did not finish.
Continue from where they left off.
I am going to continue from where they left off. That is what she's doing. Reviving legacies. All of these things that they did. Okay, there was supposed to be a commissioning. The other predecessor left it and she did not. She started it but couldn't finish because of change of office leadership. And not leadership. She says, I will continue from where she left off. I will commission. If there are projects that are still laying there, I will continue. Continuity. And that is the only way things can work in this country. Everyone has their own idea, I agree. But there's some ideas that you can actually key into to make better a nation and better the society and better individuals. Continuity is very important. I think we need to learn from it. It's very important. It will go a long way, especially in our... All sectors are important. I always mention health, I used to mention, but you see education, these are our future leaders. Once we miss it, that is it.
You know, we were talking about all of these monies that schools charge, for example. It's very easy, Juma, you and I will come here, we put politicians on the spot, we talk about transparency, accountability, and probity on the part of politicians.
Yes.
Who is holding tertiary institutions accountable? We also do an amazing job in the media trying to highlight the challenges that schools, public universities face, the predicament of lecturers who have to go to class to impact knowledge, how that their welfare must be made an issue of priority number one, and things like that. But are these schools accountable, all of the monies they collect? I'll give you an example. In the last 20 years, for instance, we have seen a proliferation in the businesses that universities roll out. I mean, public universities.
Yeah.
They are into water, whether sachet or bottle.
Yes.
A good number of them have filling stations.
Yes,
I mean, mine does have filling station.
Really?
All right. Yes. They have a shopping mall of some kind. So they are into several things. They have agri projects. They have chemical-based projects where they make things like jelly and stuff. They make money from all of these things. We are not saying come and give the money to members of the public or remit the monies to government. Do your thing, run the school. But do we have transparency on that front? Plus, for many years, for at least 2 to 3 decades, these schools, they do programs by the side, more like off the conventional path, degree and stuff like that, part-time and what have you. They collect monies from all of these. There are revenues. We have even seen senior lecturers fight over these monies, but we don't want to go there today. But we're asking, is there transparency in the way these funds are managed? It's not enough to hold politically exposed people accountable. How about those in the academia, whether they are the teaching staff or non-teaching staff?
True.
Who is holding them accountable? We must look at that. Then lastly, we must now look at funding. Are we funding education enough? In 2020, I mean, since 2015, for example, to today, what has been the average allocation to education? UNESCO says it should be, well, 26% of whatever it is that you're budgeting.
Exactly.
So if my country is budgeting, let's say, 50 trillion for 2026, 26% of 50 trillion should go to education. But do we see that? No. We see more of it going into defense. Yet insecurity is not abating.
No,
Again,
it's not.
a story for another day. When you look at all of this, you are asking yourself, are we really serious? Are we committed to education? Or are we just, if you like, being hypocritical every time we say we want to invest in education?
Exactly. And you know, it takes me aback when we talk about education in Nigeria. Really, we just talk about it. There are no actions backing it. You know, our guest said something about saying all of these fantastic ideas, but implementing is a problem.
That's a challenge.
That's a challenge. And sometimes no one is really asking these nitty-gritty questions. No one asks, where is this funding? Who is what? Who is accountable to this? And that we just say, it's not working. But what are we doing? Individuals in that particular sector. What are you actually doing to make it work? What have you done? Have you had a tete-a-tete, sitting down and understanding that, hey, this is the way forward? If we do not have all of these vital, important discussions, we will continue going round in circles when it comes to the educational sector and all sectors that are having challenge, one form of challenge in one way or the other. And it's just unfortunate that we are just that pea in that pod. We're just there. We try as much as we talk about it all the time, but there's nothing that is being done. And it's just unfortunate. It is. I mean, that is why we keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth without making any headway.
Movements without progress.
Exactly.
We need to now redefine what education means for us and how it plays a role in our national development going forward. At a time when the world is now focusing on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, Nigeria can't be left behind, apparently. And for those in these ministries, departments, and agencies of government that are focused on education, you keep talking about how that, well, what was budgeted was not what was released. For example, they budgeted 1,000, but what was released at the end of the day was 2 naira. What did you also do with that 2 naira?
That was given to you in the first place.
It comes down to accountability.
Exactly.
We must look at all of those, all right? But let's take a break now. When we return, education is part of our conversation this morning. But in the middle, we're looking at gender-based violence as well. Is this just a rhetoric, or do we actually understand what the issues are in this monster that has grown so much the last couple of decades and eaten into the fabric of our once very beautiful society? Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning.
For the latest issues,
Always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. All right, so prepping up for the big conversation today, the focus is on gender-based violence. The data doesn't look good, apparently whether home or anywhere else. You know, growing up as a young child, when you talked about abuse, especially as it has to do with a man and a woman, again, particularly within the context of marriage, the idea was one-way traffic. We thought it was a man who was always hitting his wife, beating his wife, you know, to the point where she was crying or even had to pass out or gave her a black eye very often. But today, the dynamics have changed. There are some men who have been married for over 20 years, over 30 years. They've never hit their wives. But the violence in such homes, in some cases, ironically, cannot be described.
No, we cannot. And that is why, yes, like growing up, we always thought that it was just the man that was taking advantage and doing. We didn't even know it as gender-based violence. We just knew that the man
abusing his wife.
Beating up his wife. He's a wife beater. But sometimes vice versa is the case. Not only when you lay hands and you do all of that, emotionally, psychologically, what are you doing? You know, when you say words like, you're too fat, there's nothing that can come out of you. All of these things that some men or women say to their husbands, or they ridicule them and make them less of themselves, that's violence of the mind. So a lot needs to be said and done around this arena, and we need to understand that it's not only women that are vulnerable in this forte, the men also. There's some women that actually physically assault their husbands and practically lift them up and throw them to the floor and actually punch them. There are women like that. And it's just unfortunate that these
that must be a very pathetic sight to see.
Did you see it on the internet? And you just wonder, and you just
what's going on here?
What's going on? Please. This is a very serious issue. You don't have to laugh about it. But we're laughing about it now because the in-depth and the void that this has caused in families, in home fronts. And then you say to yourself, that is why most men and women have issues, and it's like a pattern. A man will tell you the reason why I assault my wife is because that is what I know growing up as a child. That's the only way she can obey me. That's the only way I can put my foot. That's the only way I show that I am a man. And a woman will tell you the only way I understand how to put my husband in check is for me to disrespect him the way I can and emotionally insult and abuse him. That's the only way he will know that I can be feared and he doesn't have to bring another rival in our home front. But people need to understand that there is an awareness. This is very detrimental in society, and children, I'm always particular about kids because we show the examples. Kids, it's what you do that they see. Every other word of mouth you can. That's why I love giving illustrations. It's very because I know it sinks in faster. So it's what they see, the action that happens under that roof, that umbrella, that family tree that they imbibe. And sometimes that is why men and women, some people are not stable in marriage. They cannot be in a relationship. Some are depressed. Some have committed suicide. Some have actually left their marriage, left the home and left every other thing. And these are, it all circles on gender-based violence. Not just the woman, like we always say, but the men too are suffering the same. So there needs to be a balance to control this menace in our society. People need to understand that gender-based violence has to be done away with. We need to start afresh in order to groom individuals in our society who are responsible men and women. That's the children who are watching that see this as a pattern, because really it's really hard to break the cycle from someone that his grandfather did the same thing, his great-grandfather, his grandfather, his father. It's a pattern. He has to complete the mantra. 4 generations. And I'm telling you, if you hear stories, you have been an OAP for years. I have been an OAP for years. And you hear stories like, I didn't mean to hit her. It's just that this is what I know. This is what I understand to keep her in check. And the woman will tell you, I didn't mean to hit him, but this is what I know. My grandmother told my great-grandmother told her grandmother, and grandmother told her mother, and her grandmother told her the same thing. You must always shout at your husband. You must always push his head. You must always ridicule him.
Don't take chances.
Don't take chances, because men, they cannot be respected in that area. But you know, our mind needs to be rechecked and rejigged from all of that. You know, gender-based violence, it has taken lives, both men and women. People have died. That case of the Sander case, the one that was
became controversial recently.
Became controversial.
Presidential pardon.
Exactly. So it's all part of it. And you know, individuals that did not survive, that cannot come out and tell you the tale, are 6 feet under now. So it's very detrimental in our society, and it needs to be nipped in the bud quickly and possible.
You know, Juma, there's a part of it that also gives me concern, which has to do with the children that come out of such forms, right? I'll tell you something. This comes close to home for me, personal. I told myself as a young man growing up that I was going to try as much as I could not to marry a lady from a broken home. Especially if, to be very specific, that home was such that the marriage ended on account of violence from the man. Because the picture, I believe, I'm not a psychoanalyst, it creates in the head of the young girl as she grows up. It's better imagined than experienced, right? Because your father as a girl, I mean, I'm blessed with girls, for example, is your first role model for men. So whatever your father models for you is to you what every man on earth is.
Yes.
So if your father, models for you that he's irresponsible, by extension, the chances that you're going to think every other man is irresponsible will be very high. So I wanted to avoid that early enough because I'm not perfect myself. So I'm saying that to say that it's not just about the man who abuses his wife, for example. We have to be specific about this because it's Women's Week.
Yes.
It's also about the boys that he raises. What was he teaching them? It's very important. You see the way some boys, I mean, I've seen boys. You see the way they treat their girlfriends. You see the way they treat their female classmates.
Yes.
The way they talk, their choice of words. I mean, I've had colleagues who say things like, well, look, I have a woman like you at home. You know,
is he kidding me?
I hold my breath for a second. I said, hold on. I mean, this lady is your colleague. What has she got to do with the woman you have at home?
Exactly.
But again, you see, those things are deeper than we see. They are beyond mere words.
Yes.
They are coming sometimes from a place of brokenness. They are coming from a place of damage.
Hurt.
The question is, how do we find healing?
You know, talking about finding healing, you know, you've just shared yours, you know, when I wanted to get married, at the point, marrying an army officer, may he so rest in peace, you know, a lot of my friends were like, you know how, you know, soldiers can be very, they will just, you know, you're very,
right.
And I married the most nicest, amazing individual, I would tell you for free, Uyi, that never, throughout our years of marriage, before death took him, he never raised his hands. The highest Dennis will do is walk out. You just walk out, cool down, being a gentleman that he is. Despite the fact that you hear stories about how military men mishandle, beat their wives, but I would tell you for free, mine and his classmates that we have known, loved and cherished their wives, treat them, me especially, I would tell you for free. And that is the upbringing that he got from his dad. How his dad took care of his mom, explained to him that, come, you must, and that's the teaching. You see, as young as my boys are, they'll open the door and tell you, okay, that is, you see, it is a pattern. And that is why there are some damaged goods, damaged individuals, men and women out there, because that is the pattern in which they can relate with. And the way I feel the only time an individual can heal is when you talk about it, because a lot of individuals are damaged because they cannot talk about these things. That is how they were raised. That is how their dad did it, or that is how their mom did it. So it's very important we talk about these issues. We talk about it. And for as much, I know it's Women's Week, and I know that women, the only way we can get attention is when we just we chat like chatterbox. But if you understand, that is why I tell people marriage is very important, because I need to know you and you need to know me. No secrets. How was it growing up? That's when I cancel people. I tell you, how was it growing up? How was your dad? How was your mom? Because it always plays a role in your life as an individual. So if you can actually tell me the truth about the pattern, oh, okay, my mom is a no-nonsense person, my dad is very strict, you have to fix the pieces together. Did he ever hit your mom in any way? Did you witness all? You ask all of these questions. Love is good, yes, but there's some questions you need to ask because the future is key. It's very important. And that is why when you have all of these informations, you'll be able to sit together as teammates, as a team. And you say, okay, fine.
Not as rivals.
Not as rivals, as a team. And we talk about these things, okay? Because you have experienced this from your end, and I have experienced this from my end, how do we make this work now? Because it will always creep up its ugly head in the future. There's sometimes where you will lose your temper, you think, when you slap me, you're good. No. So we have to sit down as a team and work it out. And that is why some individuals in marriage, they tell you, for as much as we are angry or we're going to quarrel, we must never go back to bed angry. That is what you have said from the beginning. So it's very important. You need to talk about it.
I must speak words very carefully.
Very carefully. So talking about it and knowing that women, we are chatterbox. Be a man. When a woman is being a chatterbox and you want to leave walk away. Walk away. You don't have to hit her. Walk away. And verse of is the woman. Please learn to control your temper.
Right. Well, you've heard from June, right? Last we checked, she's not a licensed counselor yet, but Juma had got quite years of experience on our belt. But these are real life issues, so we shouldn't take them for granted.
No.
We're taking a break. When we return, our guests, our resource person, will join us on the program. Please do stay with us.
Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious, and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build our nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious, and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build our nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
It's already 3 days behind the, official International Women's Day as we know it, but this entire week we're focusing quite essentially on issues around women, including, for example, education for girls, young girls in particular, and then issues around gender-based violence. When you look at the numbers like Juma and I highlighted earlier on the show, they obviously do not look good, especially for the so-called Global South, where Nigeria sadly belongs. And then, of course, when you move into the rural areas, the picture gets worse. But then the question is, do we have a handle on this challenge in itself? And to what extent are we also putting in the work to ensure that as quickly as possible and in some remarkable ways, we're able to find methods to tackle what I'll call a monster. This morning we're joined by someone whose, thematic area, I should say, focuses on this conversation. Tovia Moore is gender lead at Ilmi Children's Fund here in Abuja. Tovia, would like to say a big thank you to you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being a part of Global Morning.
If I had my way, I'll leave you and Jumai here.
Yes, you should.
To have the gender conversation.
He for she, you guys
he
say.
For she.
All right, so I've got to join. But let me get this started, all right? We'll talk about GBV, we'll talk about gender-based violence. We see several events organized around it. We see resource persons, especially East Home and Abroad, coming to lend their voices to it.
Yeah.
At some point, it sounds elitist. It looks like it's not a conversation we can all have. It's for a select few, like yourself and Jumai, for example. Help our viewers, at the very least, to understand what exactly we're dealing with when we talk about gender-based violence.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. And just like you mentioned, it's actually not elitist because gender-based violence affects us all. No matter how we want to look at it, it affects everybody, both boys, both girls. But then it's just that girls face a unique and disproportionate risk regarding it. That is why we seem to be amplifying more on girls, talking more about girls. And how does this affect everyone else? Because there's this saying that says that if you train a girl child, if you empower a girl child, whole generations are going to benefit from it. Exactly, and who wouldn't want a whole generation to benefit from the you know, the goodness, the nurturing, the empowerment that you're giving to a girl child. And then that goes beyond educating them, that goes beyond literacy or having them in school.
Right.
I don't know, that time when we were still in school, they would say, pass through school and allow the school
to pass
through you. So it's all encompassing. And that is why we need to have everyone on this topic, because it affects your mother, your daughter, your sister, your niece, you know, everybody around you. It's just because in Nigeria, we kind of have like a culture of silence. We like to, you know, hush things. We don't want to talk about it because we feel like it's shameful.
There's a stigma.
There's a stigma attached to talking about it. But we've realized that that stigma is actually doing more harm than good, because you are training children or adolescents that bottle up a whole lot of trauma. And then what you have is that it's going to be passed on to the next generation and then the next generation. And then we keep on going around in circles. That is why this time is the best time to talk about it, because we want to break that circle. We want every child, every girl child to grow up free, to be able to dream and to be able to realize her full potential without the fear and shadow of violence.
Talking about the shadow of violence, which always creeps up on individuals, I was talking with my colleague and I said sometimes when you hear gender-based violence, it's a pattern. An individual has suffered from his grandfather or his great-grandfather, grandfather, his father, now him. Now, because I know it's more on women, like you said, we are more of the disadvantaged. Men, they are too. It's a balanced equation. Not really balanced. But how can you curb when it comes to pattern? An individual who, that is what he sees, or that is what she has seen growing up as a child, and she feels, hey, that's a norm, it's normal. How can you twerk the mind of that individual?
Okay, and thank you for that question. It's actually quite important because, you know, as you said, when you see things often, repeatedly, subconsciously, you might not even be aware that you're going to do these things, but then subconsciously you start to do them. There's something I saw, it says that because you do not like something, doesn't mean that you're not going to do it. So you see a lot of cases where husbands or fiancés grow up from a toxic background where they see their fathers beating their mothers, their sisters, and then they vow, I am never going to do this if I get married. But then you see them doing that same thing again. That is because they never got support. They never got counseling. They believe that it's within their own will because they do not like it. Then automatically they are not going to
fall into it.
But that is not how it works. When you realize that this thing is wrong, and that is why we're speaking about it, you have to first understand from a global point of view that this is beyond you. This is wrong. It has happened to your mother. It has happened to your sister. That doesn't make it right. It's not right. Your father might have gotten away with it because of, you know, how the world was before, the culture and everything. But in the 21st century, we are speaking out. We are saying that this is not normal and it should not be allowed to be normal. That is why when we come across survivors, we call them survivors, anybody that has, you know, encountered gender-based violence or the likes of it. When we encounter them, we do our possible best to ensure that they go through counseling. And we offer psychosocial first aid to them because we have to, like, you know, bring down everything that they've learned, help them to cope, help them to know that what happened to them was not their fault and it was never their fault and it's not normal and they shouldn't accept it as normal. So you have to first understand, identify that this is happening, this is real, whether you like it or not, and that you have a role to play to ensure that this pattern doesn't repeat itself. Again, you have to educate yourself, you have to speak to someone. You know, we as people in Nigeria, we do not actually take therapy very seriously.
No, we don't.
As we should. But we actually need to take therapy very seriously because it helps to decongest all of that thing and helps you to unlearn and be better, and know that you can be better. You do not have to repeat that same pattern. Somebody can help you, and you should always seek the support.
That's for, sorry.
No, it's okay by all means.
That's for a woman that actually understands what you just mentioned, that it's not a norm, it's not normal. You should try as much as possible to educate yourself to understand that this is not right. It's wrong. It's demeaning you as an individual, as a person. But for a man now, I keep going back to it because I've spoken to individuals, I've hosted programs, shows, events that has to do with gender-based violence, and then looking at it critically, a man that in his head, because you said it's both gender, it's not just centered on just one, even if we know that...
Centered on just one, but everybody experiences
exactly, but you know, women were vulnerable. I hope you understand.
I'm trying to.
Please do. We have to be treated right.
Exactly.
But for a man that this is all that he knows, he knows that the only way I can put my foot down in my home is when I slap my wife and put her in check and tell her that, come, are you okay? I'm the man here. I make the rules, and I slap her, I hit her, I punch her.
And then he sees the results. She obeys.
Oh, yes, she's very obedient. She says, oh, sir, I'm sorry, and she does right. And then for a girl that all she knows is her mother has already groomed her and told her that, come, you mustn't take nonsense from your husband so that he won't bring a rival to you, someone that will come and inherit what you've suffered for. To build. So you must always attack. You must always insult him. You must always shout at him. You must always bend his ego down. He loves you too much. He will do what you want.
He will do your bidding.
How do you correct that now? Knowing that this is a menace in our society, and most individuals who did not survive this pattern are 6 feet under. How do you correct it?
Okay, that is actually a very good question. Now, I'm going to go back to the first one. For a man that feels like it's normal for him to do these things, and probably that starts from the home where he grew up from.
Yes.
Maybe he saw his father doing it and all of that. And that is why we need more he for she's, because where we cannot go as women, the men, when they are together, they talk. They talk in the beer parlor, they talk when they're watching football. These are avenues where men have discussions and conversations. And just imagine we have someone like him who is a he for she that understands the dynamics, that understands what is happening, and then maybe one of his friends on that table is talking, oh, today I beat my wife, she did this and I did that to her. And he steps up and he says, guy, this thing that you're doing is actually a crime. It's not good. Just imagine if it's done to you. You know, try to advocate and talk to him about it. He's going to think about it. And probably sometimes he might even take it better coming from him, a fellow man. You know, men have this ego. He might take it better come from him as a fellow man than maybe if another woman from somewhere is telling him something about it. That is why we're trying our best. We're collaborating with other organizations to ensure that we have men as allies, because we need them in this advocacy. Women cannot do it alone. We know where it's paining us from, and we need to get them to understand it's not a fight. That is why when this Mirabel's, it's not a fight, it's not a gender fight. When this Mirabel's case came up, I don't know if you heard about it.
Of course, I heard of Mirabel.
Exactly. And then people were bringing up opinions, talking about it, and then it suddenly turned into a gender fight. We took attention away from the act itself, which is rape, which is a crime.
Which is a crime, a father and a son.
Do you understand?
That was really
we're
demeaning.
talking about, oh, it's always a man, the men are the problem, and we're building a wrong narrative because the young ones coming up are going to always look at men as the problem.
Exactly.
But then the problem is not men, the problem is the crime, and we should tackle the crime. So that is why we need to continue to have these conversations. We shouldn't leave it to the people that, when you talk about gender issues, we try as much as possible not to speak from an emotional point of view.
Yes.
Because if you speak from an emotional point of view, you're going to say a lot of hurtful things, and then it turns into a gender war.
Yes, it does.
We do not want a gender war.
No, we don't.
We want everybody to understand that this thing affects us, and we need to do something about it. So we have to keep on talking. Going back to the woman that the mother would say, oh, don't take this from your husband.
No, don't.
You know, generations have actually changed. What our mothers took, our grandmothers and all, that is why you hear men today who say like, oh, my mother did it and she did not die. Oh, this person did it and they did not die. But this is our generation today. We are more aware, we are more self-aware, self-conscious, we have autonomy, and we want to talk. But part of the problem is that sometimes we do listen to the wrong people. And those are the people that are speaking from the point of emotion, trying to rile you up, ginger you, do this and do that.
And you do the wrong thing.
You do the wrong thing. So it's important that you watch what you're consuming. There are a lot of content out there. Everybody creates content. Everybody wants to talk about these issues. But then I would advise you or anyone else that wants to talk about gender issues, it's important. We need you. Well, first, you need to understand, you need to study, you need to take courses, you need to be grounded, so that when you're pushing out a narrative, you're speaking from an informed point of view and not an emotional point of view. And with that, you'll be driving a narrative that would help, you know, mold the younger generations that are coming up and not incite them to want to be hostile. We're not pushing for hostility. We love everyone. We want to live in peace, and we just want that everyone is respected as a human being and their rights are upheld.
But you know what, Tovia, when you said not pushing the wrong narrative to the younger generation, and then the younger generation should watch what they consume and listen to. But how do they know what is right and what is wrong in what they consume? And at the same time, is there like a platform where they can actually go back and fact check if this is right, this is wrong, to create that awareness when it comes to gender-based violence, so they will not be misled and act due to that emotional point of view that you mentioned, so it won't turn into a gender war?
Okay, that is actually very good. Now, we have lots of organizations. Ilmi Children's Fund is one of them. You could always reach out to us, maybe through a phone call. I don't know, am I allowed to mention our phone number?
No, you're not allowed.
Okay, so we have our website. You can reach out to our website. We have lots of resources when we talk about gender-based violence, lots of reports, lots of articles you could read. We have the UNFPA. We have UNICEF. We have lots of organizations that are registered and trained to talk about issues like this. Reach out to them. Learn from their platforms, learn from what they are putting out there. And for yourself, if you do want to start, you also have to study, learn more, reach out to people, go through their mentorship circles, find one, belong in one, and ask questions. They said whoever asks questions doesn't miss road.
Exactly.
So you're not going to miss road if you ask questions, and do ask the right ones. Speak to the people that know these things, and they will be able to provide support and mentorship for you going forward.
All right, let me allow you for
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of if you like, misinformation in some cases. I would like to call it misgiven around these issues that we're discussing. Now you have the Gen Z factor. Young people are in a hurry to get their hands on stuff, so they don't have, they're not big on patience in terms of learning some of these things. You have that. When you go to social media across platforms, there's gender war going on. Feminism, as we know it, has been redefined again, right? So you have all of these together. So I'm asking, where is the place of education in these, whether formal or otherwise?
Okay. Education is a very powerful tool. We cannot underemphasize or overemphasize how important education is, and the role that our teachers have to play when it comes to nurturing and molding the younger generation. And that is why currently I think we do have some of these topics going on in the school environment. For one, Ilmi Children's Fund has gender clubs across all, like 44 schools right now in the FCT.
Fantastic.
And, thank you. And this club serves as an avenue, a safe place where adolescents themselves are able to educate themselves, talk about it, provide peer support to one another. We do provide them with resource materials that we have vetted, and we are sure that the information that they are getting is right and accurate. And we are hoping that this sort of program is, adopted across all states in Nigeria. It is because we have tested it and we have done research, and we found out that adolescents are more aware now. They are willing to speak up, and they know what constitutes as violence. They know that some things, people shouldn't touch them in a certain way.
Exactly.
Things like that. They are aware now, they understand, and that is the preventive aspect that we are going into. So we know that this thing works, and it's very important that if it can be adopted as a general program across all states in Nigeria, it will really make a difference. It will help them to become more empowered, more vocal, and to know that their voice counts, because with that opportunity that we've created, that safe space, they know that they are part of the decision. We are thinking about them, and they are at the center of what we are doing. They can tell us what is not working and what is working. So we're able to put all this together to be able to provide better support opportunities for them.
Let's talk about poverty before Jumai jumps right in.
It's fine.
Poverty is a big deal. We can pretend all we want, but across Africa in particular, we see how it's playing out on different levels across different fronts, right? How does poverty, if you like, impact this conversation we're having? The realities that households have, young girls, for example, in rural areas where there's probably no lights, limited education to healthcare, hygiene resources, what else? Of course, talk about even internet to just check up a couple of information and things like that.
Okay. That is very good, because poverty, it's like a straight line. With poverty, you have dependency. Right. Because when a person cannot afford to do some specific things for themselves, you can't afford to clothe yourself. And as a woman, you can't even afford to purchase something as necessary as a sanitary towel. You have to be dependent on someone to provide all of these things.
It's not a good place to be.
It's not a good place to be. It creates this dependency, and subconsciously you feel like even if this person is maltreating you,
you become indebted.
You don't want to do anything that will rile them or hurt them, even if they're beating you or doing anything, but you can't afford to leave because you are dependent on this person. And that goes back to some of our customs and some of our laws, because we say, your husband is beating you, why are you there? Why are you still there? Don't you have a family? Don't you have this? We're quick to, judge and give comebacks, but the reality is not the case. Because in our cultures today, how many tribes give lands to women, allow women to own a piece of land in their families? So you're telling her to go back home, to where? To do what? By the time she goes back to her father's house and she's told, you do not have a place here, you're a woman, your place is in your husband's house. And some of these words, she has been hearing it from when she was a child. You're going to grow up, you're going to get married, and you're going to belong to your husband. So subconsciously she knows that she feels like she's a property. She's going to do whatever this man wants. She's going to do his bidding. And sometimes it doesn't end well for the person. So we have to constantly review our culture also. We have to ensure that women are empowered in our culture. They should be able to own properties in their homes, in their father's house. Because why exactly are we excluding them? It's not right. And talking about digitally, a lot of women are digitally excluded. And we might wonder why is that, because most times the phone that you're using sometimes maybe was bought for you by your husband. You're not even able to afford a phone for yourself. To even afford the phone, you need to be able to work. And to be able to work, you need to be able to have an education. How many people, how many families are educating their girl child? Up till now, I know we've actually achieved some level of growth, but we still have families that, prefer to educate the boy child as against the girl child. They still believe that she's going to be a man's property at the end of the day. So what is the use of educating them? And what we fail to understand, that kind of mindset traps that girl in a circle of poverty and a circle of dependency. She has to depend on someone for the rest of her life. And what is the cost of this to us as a nation? Disenfranchising like how many women in the world? That is a potential there. Somebody could be a doctor there. That could be somebody being a nurse or a pilot. We have so many potential that we're just leaving to lie in waste just because we consider the other gender to be maybe better than them or to be more deserving of this education. So we as a people, we have a lot to do. When we have these conversations, I hope it doesn't end here. We are encouraging everyone to reach someone, talk about it with someone,
tell someone,
exactly, because we need to create that chain, we need to create that link, and we believe that is the only way that we can have this conversation around the nook and crannies of our society, because Ilmi Children's Fund cannot do it alone.
No, you cannot.
Governments cannot do it alone.
No, they cannot.
It's a synergy. We need everybody, we need all hands to be on deck.
Now, talking about all hands on deck now, how can one handle stigmatization when it comes to a woman who has gone through the rigors of gender-based violence, and even a man, like you said, it's focused on us now, it's International Women's Week.
Of course, for obvious reasons.
Exactly. So how does she handle stigmatization? And for someone who is looking at you now, watching you and explaining what gender-based violence, why there are some things you should not accept, you should be aware. A woman that thinks that it's only when a man lays his hands on her, that's when, oh my goodness, that's gender-based violence. That's gender-based. What are the types that a woman should look out for? Well, I call it now, the Gen Zs, you say the red flags.
The red flags.
So what are the red flags? Should I look out for and know that, okay, I identify this is gender-based violence. I see you gender-based violence. So it's not only when the man is abusive, when it comes to the physical. So there are other forms of abuse. Can you tell us other forms of abuse, and how can a woman who has gone through gender-based violence and she has had enough, and it's at the point of she might lose her life if she's there, how can she handle stigmatization? You know, in Africa, you must stay in your husband's house.
Marriage is the price.
Marriage is the price. You must bear everything.
Okay, now, so we do actually have different forms of gender-based violence, and the physical one is actually For me, I would say it's the easiest one because it's easily identified. Somebody can easily point at you and say, oh, this woman or this man is going through this. You can say black eye, you can say a broken hand or something like that. So it's actually quite easy for you to identify that. But I would say the silent killer is the psychological one, the emotional one, because you're going through this, you look physically fine, there are no signs, there's nothing showing. You're an expert, you become an expert in masking your emotions, but then you're dying slowly inside.
It's dealing with you mentally.
Dealing with you mentally. And how can you spot some of this manipulation? Control. Some simple things as simple as you dress up, you want to go out, and he looks at you from head to toe. Maybe you're expecting a compliment. Oh, you look good today, you look beautiful. And then he goes, where do you think you're going dressed like that? At first, it might seem, okay, what do you mean? Where am I going? I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm like, no, you can't go out dressed like that. Go and change. To some people, it might seem as protection.
Yeah,
He's
loves
trying
me.
to protect me. He loves me, but that is subtle control. It starts from there. Before you know it, some other time, he probably won't ask, why are you dressed like that? He might just say, you're not going anywhere, go back inside. And you have to obey, you go back inside. Before you know it, you are completely excluded from your friends, from your family, and only him and him alone has access to your life. He is the only person you get to talk to. He starts to monitor your phone, tells you maybe how many times you're allowed to call your parents or your family.
Okay.
So that is how, those are subtle signs of
Sounds like a
control.
Nollywood drama.
In fact, are you kidding me?
It happens subtly.
Your
like
family?
That. Your family, yes. They excommunicate you from your family, and then he becomes the author and finisher of your life, making sure that he is the only person that you have. You have headache, you're sick, something is going on in your life. He's the only person that you have to talk to. And it starts slowly. At first, you might not notice, oh, he loves me, he's trying to protect me, until he's able to completely alienate you from your family. And then your friends will be trying to call, what is going on with you? You'll be like, oh, nothing, no, I'm just at home, I'm just this. And then your work also, maybe at first when the relationship started, he's okay with you working. And maybe you're a CEO or you're a manager somewhere, and he's okay, he's cool, it's all good, oh. But then you enter the marriage and he tells you, nah, I don't think you should work again, you know. I'm providing everything, right? Is there anything that you need that I'm not providing? And you'd be like, no, there is nothing. You're providing everything, and that is perfect. So now you're going to stop your work because I want to take care of you as my woman. I do not like my woman working. I want to be able to foot all your bills. And you're happy at first because he's capable. He can do that. But what that does is that subconsciously you become dependent on him. You wouldn't, if you want to buy pad, you're going to have to ask him. You want to buy Maggie?
The CEO, manager. Ask him.
You've been reduced to that. Whatever you need, you would have to ask. And at that point, if anything is going wrong, you can't leave. You have no savings, you have nothing. How can you leave? So these are the patterns that people need to recognize and say, oh, you have to know when it starts and how to stand up for yourself and say, no, I can't take this. This is not the kind of life I want for myself.
So that's where you come in and you stop it and say, okay, please, I need to kick you to the curb. You need to go, right?
Exactly.
You need to go.
You can say that. You can say that. So you have to recognize these signs. It's very, very important because, like I said, the emotional one is the most dangerous.
Yes, it is.
It leads to a whole lot of things, depression.
Yes, it does.
And before you know it, you can start having like suicidal thoughts and things like that. And we do not want that. We want you to live. We want every woman to be able to live. And going forward to the ones that are, we have the verbal abuse also. I don't know if I mentioned that one. Verbal abuse can somehow be linked to the emotional one because they use their words to try to demean you and make you feel powerless and small. You know, telling you you're not even beautiful. I don't even know what I'm doing with you. If I leave you today, nobody else is going to be with you. So you should be grateful that you have me in your life and things like that. And then we have the sexual abuse where people make funny remarks about you, your passing. They can make a comment about your front, your back, or something, just something nasty, and they laugh about it. So all these things are regarded as gender-based violence, and they are not normal.
Fantastic.
And then dealing with stigma. First of all, I have to put this out there. Whoever you are, man or woman, and you experience gender-based violence at any point, you should know that it is not your fault that is happening. You are not to be blamed. it is the perpetrator's fault. And it's not about what you were wearing, what time you went out, anything. It's inconsequential right here. It is not your fault. So you should not feel ashamed to speak out. You should not feel ashamed to ask for support when you need it.
Fantastic.
And we are always here to listen.
Yeah, fantastic.
Let's wrap it up now in 1 minute. How do we define support in this instance? We hear generically things around psychosocial support. We've talked about stigma, for example. How do we now define support in that sense for somebody who has been abused one way or another and they need to heal?
Okay. So now there are different types of support. And then when it comes to gender-based violence, the survivor is at the center of all the supports that we're giving. You're not allowed to do anything that you do not want or you do not need at that point. So we speak to you and we try to find out the best kind of support that you may be needing. Sometimes people need medical support. They have to take medications. Sometimes people need shelter support. They need a place to get away from the danger. That is also a support. And sometimes people need, in fact, every one of them needs the psychosocial support. That is like the counseling that you give to them to try to calm them down, reduce anxiety, make them feel better and feel safe that, okay, you've come out of this now, you're safe, you're going to be okay, and we're going to help you. And then we have legal support for cases where you need to sue. And that is all dependent on what the survivor themselves want. So we only work with the need. They are the center. We do not push. We do not do what they do not want. We just make sure that they are okay and what they need is what we give them.
On a case-specific basis, right?
Exactly.
All right, so I would like to say a big thank you to you, Tovia Moore, gender leader at Ilmi Children's Fund, for coming to share these insights with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. All right, well, that's what we're leaving it, everyone. These conversations are ongoing and they will be here for as far as we can see, quite frankly, because the dynamics keep evolving as well. That's all for our program here today. Just to remind you that the views of our guests are their opinions. Neither Jumai nor I are certified counselors. All we do is just to bring experts in the field to share with you, so you can be properly guided. I'm Uyag Mofwegbe saying thank you for your time and have a big day ahead of you.
And to our guests again, thank you so much for being a part of the program. And of course, I am Jumai Manson. And for the he, for she, we and I, we say bye-bye.